Good. What?
Sorry.
Oh, gotta get your hat on. Yes, he's in the Fletch is in the shot. Look at that behind me. What's up, guys? This is Gene Jensen. I've got an exciting video for you. I've got Fletch Griffin behind me. He's the owner of Westbrook Supply Company. And we're about to do the most epic kayak rigging video on YouTube. All right, so let's go over kind of what I'm doing with the Yak Power stuff. I'm gonna flip this camera around. All right, so there's the center controller. This goes inside the boat. It plugs up to all the electronics. It's a center, it's basically a control center for it. And then outside of the hull, it's gonna have this little sucker right here for me to control it. And other than that, I have no clue what I'm doing. So. But we're gonna lay these things out, make sure we got everything we need, do the boring stuff, and then start drilling holes. What do we say, measure twice, cut once?
3 times.
Measure 3 times, cut once. So the goal is to rig the control box up to my, I don't even know how to pronounce that. Bioino, I don't care. But anyway, this battery, which is it's a 20 amp hour. Thought it was a 30, but it's a 20 amp hour, but it'll still work. And that's going to power the most of it for right now. I may change that up in the future and use these YoloTek Naqua batteries. Those are 2 10 amp batteries, 10 amp hour batteries, but for right now we're just going to run it to my 20 amp Beano battery, just to make it simple, and then I'll make it complicated later. Look at all this mess we got laid up. Ooh, all that's gonna go in this boat. It's gonna be awesome. So Fletch, how much fun is it to drill a round hole shaped like that?
Not at all.
That's one complaint, is you gotta cut holes like that size, and it'd be nice if it was just round and you could drop a drill bit through. So, but it fits like a glove.
Make it work. I'm a professional.
That's what they say. Good job. So Fletch, how many years have you been rigging kayaks?
Ever since I got my first kayak, which would have been over 10 years ago now. My first one was a Tarpon 120, and I built that live well for it, and I wired it to have a plug in the tank well, so I could plug my my live well up. Cool. So is this the most complicated rigging job you've done on a kayak ever? This is probably up there. I've never seen anybody that needed so many electrical outlets in one kayak. But I get it. You got phones, you got cameras, you got electronics. We're gonna make it happen. So.
All right, we got those 2 plugs in. One of them will run my camera, and the other one will run my electronics. Pretty cool. So
that was my fault.
Yeah, Fletch completely installed that plug, and the little dust cap was he put it on backwards, so he got it all screwed in. Was so proud of himself, and yeah, not quite. He had to take it out and do it again.
Sorry.
That's why other people call him a professional. Question is, do I want it to, well...
Do you want it inside or out?
I want it outside.
You want it outside?
Yeah, flip it around. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Easy enough.
Yeah, see how that's out of the way?
Yeah, that's much better.
I like that.
Much better.
All right, so what's cool is these come with backing nuts, but we're in a spot where we can't reach the back of this. Neither of us have Go-Go Gadget arms. And what's cool is they send a drill bit. Where's that drill at? They send a drill bit with these, and it is the perfect size for those threads right there. So it makes it to where all you got to do is just screw this in, and it is a tight fit. And we'll get a wrench and we'll actually tighten that down, and that's all you have to do. So you don't need the backing nut, and that's nice, really nice. Yep, that looks about right. Yeah, it ain't the best drill bit for keeping it from walking, that's for sure.
Funny how that works, isn't it?
Yeah. It's gonna take 100 zip ties to make all this stuff clean on the inside. All right, so it's time for the outside LED lights, or the strip lights. This is where the rubber meets the road, because these are holes outside the boat. But we're mounting it just below the water, or just above the water line, actually quite a bit above the water line, just below the center line of the boat itself. These are green LED lights. And if I change my mind and want a different color, it's easy to, you'll see how we're doing this. It's going to be really easy to get it right, or to change things up. So let me kind of explain what's going on. There's where'd those little plugs go? Here they are. So this is one of the light plugs right here. That's all it is. You drill a hole, drop it in through there just like we did those LED lights, and then you plug your strip light up to that, and then screw in on that other side right there, and you have them set. Pretty simple. Famous last words. That's probably going to be the hardest thing to do for the whole boat.
Probably.
Let's pull that dang backing off the 3M adhesive. You might ask yourself, why are you doing all this to your kayak? Why are you rigging it out with so much electronics? Well, because I can. And I got good friends to help me. That's the honest truth. I just do it because I can. And I want to see how rigged out you can make a kayak and still be fishable. I might even make a video where I make a kayak unfishable because it's over rigged.
How many holes can you put in the boat?
Yep. Another good reason to have Fletch doing this is he is way OCD. Not quite as bad as Scott, but pretty close. So it's going to be done right. And if it ain't, he'll just hide it. You won't be able to see it anyway. All right, so one of the things it says in the directions is when you pick a location for these outside lights, you want to put them to where you cannot see them from the seated position in your kayak, because if you can see them, especially the ones up front, they'll mess up your night vision. They'll screw with your eyeballs in the dark. So that's definitely what you want to consider, and that's another reason why we're mounting it below the center line. Or the seam line. Is that called seam line, Fletch?
Yes. Well,
it's not. It's rotor molded, so there's no seam. But
no seam. It's the there's a word for that.
Joint line. Somebody will tell us.
Yeah.
If you guys know what it is, leave a comment in the description. All right, time to put the longer one. I think it's the 20-inch light strip in the back of the boat. We're going to run it a little bit forward, because I'm going to be running these while I'm fishing at night. And that green is attracts the bait, well, as far as they say it does, I guess. We used to fish under lights all the time, and the green ones were always the best ones. So we're going to drill a hole right there. And we are going to mount one on both sides. Pretty simple. I really like how these, and Fletch was saying the same thing, those things are watertight. You don't need to add any silicone or anything else. Just screw them down, and they are so watertight. Go ahead, Fletch. I'll stop talking so you can drill. How long you think a Bonafide would float with a hole like that?
Depends on how choppy the water is.
Yep. Alright, so pro tip. I've got some fencing wire that I brought from my farm because I'm never going to have horses. And so you run it, make sure you run it down the side. Oh, and hit Fletch in the head with it. And once you get it down to that end where you think about the wire is, just do a quick twist. Work it out. Just like that. Perfect!
It's either going to be awesome or hilarious. I'm not sure.
Alright, so we're going to plug power up to it, test it, see how bad we did. Alright, so without reading the directions, yep, I guess we turn the power on.
Oh, there it goes.
Ta-da! Okay,
Right.
now we hit nav lights isn't hooked up. Hit anchor light. Oh, uh-oh.
Oh,
No power to the back one.
that's the only one that...
Okay, so we gotta figure this out. Okay, those are the two center lights, so those work. I don't think we plugged anything up to that one. We did not. One is, these are all the power switches, so that's what all these are. Okay, so we need to figure out why this is the only light that's working and the other ones are not. So, look at that. We got it to work. Our issue was a bad pigtail. Or splitter, as they call them. I call them pigtails, but anyway. Whew! That was a little rough, trying to play around and figure out what was wrong with what and whether we were doing wrong, because there was a couple of things we were doing wrong. Not pushing the right buttons is the one thing. But anyway, here's what we got for lights. I got bow and stern light. These are eventually going to get changed to red. I'm going to order some red lights, put those in there, and then put a green light up here and a red one up here for nav lights. But for some reason they didn't send me any nav lights. But we'll figure that out. Pretty cool. So from right here I can go turn it off and turn it back on. Alright, so it is now time we're going to install gear tracks over top of the perch pads, and we're going to flush mount them. That's what Fletch is getting ready to do. He's going to take an X-Acto blade and cut around very carefully around there, and we're going to drop the gear track in. Pretty simple. I'm going to come around the other side and show you guys as he does it. I'm going to treat you like a kindergartner. You hold it down still and you cut along it with the knife very slowly, and you won't have any accidents. An X-Acto knife is probably the best thing to use for this. I've done it with a pocket knife and done just well, but I keep my pocket knives very, very sharp. And you just trace around it. And I like using the aluminum ones with the wide feet, mainly because I put an anchor wizard on here. I attach things that take a lot of torque. So I want the wide base. I don't want the narrow base, and I just and I like the aluminum. I know the aluminum and plastic are about the same in strength, but here's what it is. That's the way I'm doing it. Now, people say that the newer the boat, the easier it is to unpeel these after you cut them out, which is the truth. But all you gotta do is just peel them off and take some Goo Gone or something and clean up all the goop that's underneath it anyway. La-di-da. And
Should be a nice snug fit.
like a freaking glove. Look at that. And we'll just screw it down. We'll do the same thing to the other side, and then we got a few more. I'm going to put, where are my switches? I'm going to put some Mighty Mount switches. I'm going to put one right here, put one on the other side, and then I got to put a Mighty Mount up here for a camera mount, and I usually move the Made in USA sticker over to right here somewhere. So That's the trick. All right, so I want you to notice what he did real quick. He put one screw in first and then made sure everything was lined up, because when you're freehanding it like that, you can screw up big time, put too many holes in it. So one screw to lock everything down, and then he's just gonna tap the other 3 screws and drill holes and put screws in. And another one in the corner, so it won't shift at all for the next 2 holes, and you're good. Didn't have to do it with the ones on the perch pads because the perch pads held them in place, but that one don't. All right, so now Fletch is gonna work his magic. He's gonna take all the stuff off of my dry pod. And we weren't gonna do this, but he showed me his little outfit and I kind of fell in love with it, so we're gonna do it. We were just gonna use my dry pod, but we're gonna totally re-rig it. I'm gonna get as much video in videoing of that as I can do. So that's the new dry pod, that's the old one. And yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool to watch. But I'm gonna let him take it apart first. All right, so while he's messing around with that transducer and in the dry pod, I'm gonna do something real quick. It's a modification that actually Scott Butcher came up with. I'm wearing his shirt today, matter of fact. But you take these little clips that come with your kayak, and you put them around this strap right here. And I'm going to do that real quick. And you do that by removing, it's hard to do this in video at the same time, but you remove these 2 screws, pull this out, slide this over, put it back in, screw them back down, and you've got a clip. And you make sure the clip is facing out like this, like that. And I'll show you what it does after I'm done with it. I'm going to put one on both sides. All right, so there it is. I put the hook on, and it serves 2 purposes. It is, a lot of times this is when you're strapping your paddle down, it's really difficult to get this deal in here one-handed. Okay, get it under that hook one-handed. So it makes it to where it's real easy to do that. I used to use a zip tie for that. And then also when you're trailering your boat or have it in the back of the truck or anything, and you want to lock your seat down, not only do you lock it here, some people forget to do that, Scott Butcher, and lose a seat somewhere down the highway between Gunnersville and home. But you take the hook and you snap it right there just like that, and it will save your seat. And it will not. You will put one on this side and one on that side, just like that. Perfect. All right, that's it. And it does not come unsnapped easy. All right, so I took a break to eat lunch, and Fletch is already in on the mount and everything. Show you what we do. What's that gear track called? What are they called?
Which one?
The switch. So that's the Mighty Mount switch. We did that for stability, and he's putting a plug or a switch right there. Power switch, and they'll put make it look pretty cool. We'll show you the rest of it, but that's what he's done so far. After taking mine apart, which he cussed a lot. So, so what are you putting on right there, Fletch?
This is a voltmeter combination dual fast charging USB outlets.
Awesome.
So you'll be able to plug your phone, your GoPro, whatever you want directly into that. And then it'll have the readout for your battery to let you know how you're doing on juice.
Freaking sweet. I didn't even know they made those things.
Just gotta
unscrew it and push it back down.
get it oriented correctly.
Yep. Crazy tight. That's cool. This is one that he already built for Brad Cody. That's what made me want him to do that one for me. Whew, I did not realize this was going to take this long. I know Fletch is tired. I'm tired. We almost forgot to video this part, but now we're going to finish this up and real quickly put in steering cables for the Torqeedo. And then I'll mount the Torqeedo later when we get to Louisiana tomorrow, and I'll shoot the final reveal for the last part of this. But anyway, let's get the steering cables rolled.